was a church that we became a part of, and it was Pastor Scott Anderson is his name, and he was a pretty cool dude. And so I used to sit in, the big adult church essentially, and there, I kind of was more churched, and that's kind of where I got into church. But then I would get away from church. I'd be away from it for a while,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then like maybe I might hit a brick wall, and then I'm like, let me go back to church.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
they were a prophetic church. So people, if you don't know about prophetic church,
Oh,
he,
yes.
yeah, some people do, some people don't. So I
Oh,
don't know who all our
yeah.
viewers are,
Hmm.
but he
Got
had
it.
like,
Mhm.
it was like this man's got a direct line with God. So like he's knowing stuff that I'm doing that I'm not even telling him about. And I'm like, like it's just like the revelations, the knowledge, and even just some of the things that he spoke over my life in general. Those were things that kind of helped to be an anchor to me. And so even it was him when I came to Georgia, he was like, hey, you need to find a church down there. I mean, even after I had kind of like broke away for a little bit, he was like, there's a good church in the area. Here's the name of the church. Go to the church, check it out and visit with them and see how it is. So I wasn't churched. Like I wasn't raised church. I don't
Hmm. Hmm.
understand the organization and the politics of church. Like I didn't come to understand that until I got
Later
into the
on.
church, so
Right. So let me ask you, Pastor. So you had someone that was a mentor, a spiritual mentor, as well as someone that you could counsel with as well. And so you said that started your journey towards ministry. So when did you get into college for your biblical studies degree?
2008 is when I was actually in there for my biblical degree with Atlanta Christian College. And I graduated, or it might have been 2007. I graduated in '09
Okay.
when I came out. And it was a bachelor's. I came out with a bachelor's degree.
Okay. And so now, and aside from that, would you mind me asking, what is your occupation? Because pastors work too, but pastors work in the church, but also work outside the church, during the week. So
Yeah, well, like right now, or prior to, I managed restaurants. So well, actually, prior to that, I was like I managed hair salons.
really,
I don't know nothing about doing
oh,
hair,
yeah,
but
what got you into that?
I know how to keep
Yeah,
books. I know how to pay
yeah.
people. I
Oh,
know how to keep
right.
people from fussing and
Okay,
arguing. Like, so my management skills were good.
right.
And,
Okay.
I stumbled into like, I was trying to get my sister a job. That's what, like, originally I was trying to get my sister a job at this place. And like, they were like, well, maybe not for her, but I think they were hiring for an assistant manager. They were like, well, what about you? And I was
Oh,
like,
interesting.
yeah. So I just stumbled into that. It was like, and so I was in high end hair salons
Okay.
for quite a while. And even
You
when I
done took
moved,
your sister's job. You took your sister's job.
I
You
didn't. I was
stole
trying
your,
to get
you
her a
done stole
job.
your sister's job. You done stole her opportunity. You hear this? Srini, you hear this?
I know. I was
You
trying to
know?
get her a job. So, but when we came to Georgia, it was like, I mean, it was already on my resume, and it just sort of happened to work out that another place, it was a similar situation. So I was doing that for a while, and then when I left from that, I went into restaurant management,
Wow.
and I
Okay.
did that for a little while, and then like side hustles on the side of that. So like I did some yard work, and worked for this company for yard work, and I've done a little bit of everything. But now, like now I kind of get the luxury to be a full time pastor. So,
Oh, you full time now.
hmm
Oh, okay, okay. So you was managing, you said what was you doing, but right before you became full time pastor, what was you doing right
Joe's, I was
before?
managing a restaurant called Joe's on Sullivan. They were kind of like it was an older restaurant in a Bennigan's, an old Bennigan's that was redone by some local people. They own Hudson Grills and some other things, and Joe's was one of their restaurants. So I was
Gotcha.
there maybe 3 years, 4 years.
And so, can you walk us through your transition from that into full time ministry? Like, walk us through ministry period. Like, what can you walk us through that path?
Yeah, it was a
Mhm.
interesting. I mean, that journey was an interesting journey.
I'm
So
sure it was.
I was here. I was going to school, and at Atlanta Christian College, they made you do these things that were called D groups, basically, which is like a discipleship group. So there was a leader, basically, and several students would be assigned to this leader. And the leader was a guy. His name was Wesley Bolden, and we were like, he's thinking he's going to be a leader of like young people because most of the college kids at that time are young folks. I'm like an older guy. I'm like 30, in college, while everybody else is like 18 and 19.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
we're like the same age. So I get in there and we kind of begin to develop a relationship. Well, he's over at East Point Christian Church and he's
Ah,
serving there as I
mm,
believe the associate pastor at that time. And East Point Christian Church was an older church at that time. They were kind of trying to transition into, being more community focused, and they had an older population of people. And so somewhere in there, he was like, well, all right, I'm trying to do this new thing where we're going to do an outreach to the
Okay.
community to get new people to come in.
Got you.
So he was like, would you come over here and help me with that? And I'm like, I have a church home right now. And I was content with my church home. I'm like, I need to pray about this. I fast about it.
Yes.
I pray about it,
Yes.
but I'm not making a move because I was active in the church. I was volunteering. I felt a part of it. I had accountability. I knew people. It was a very large church. They had all the bells and whistles. I liked the preaching. I liked the music. I mean, it was in my wheelhouse. So I was like, I really got to pray about this.
Yes.
And so I fasted and prayed for the whole month of December
Mm-hmm.
as to whether or not, because he was planning to do this, I believe, in January. And I was like, I'll let you know. So somewhere in there, I felt like God said, go over there and help him. So I decided to come over there and help him. And we did this program maybe for like a month at what we call East Point Christian Church, which is the church that, now I'm the pastor. But so I'm there for like a month. And then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, he's like, well, I'm getting ready to take a church somewhere else.
Oh, he set you up.
Well, he didn't really know that. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He set
I'm
you
like,
up. Yes.
I was coming to help you, right?
Look
Like
at
I was coming to
God.
help you, and now you're saying
Yes.
you're getting ready to
Look at
leave.
God.
Yeah. So I'm like, what in the world is going on? But I was like, I fasted and prayed, and I knew in my heart of hearts that this is where the Lord wanted me to be. So I'm like, I'm going to stick it out. So I ended up basically kind of integrate, because he disappeared and went away. That program went away. We didn't keep the
Right.
program
Right.
because the program was about him, about what he was trying to accomplish,
Right.
reaching out to the community, building kind of another church or a second service type of vibe. So he went away, and I'm like, well, God, I know that you said come over here. I'm like, I mean, I would like to go back, but he wasn't telling me to go back to where I was coming from. So basically he said, stick it out. So I ended up
Yep.
integrating myself into this
Mm-hmm.
church,
Better listen to your
and it
father.
was nothing
Yeah.
like what I would have been. Like, it was nothing like my expectations would have been.
Got you.
So the predominant congregation was probably about 80% white at that time and 20% black.
Okay.
Most of the congregation was probably over the age of 72. The
Mm.
pastor was an older white gentleman who was pastoring. The music selection that they did was a lot of Gaither style music,
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
white quartet harmony.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it was nothing. I'm like, it was nothing that I was accustomed to. It was nothing that was in my wheelhouse. And I'm like, God, what am I doing here? But I stayed because I'm like, God, you told me to come here. So
Yeah.
I
And you
stayed.
gotta listen to your daddy.
Yeah. And I'm still there
Yeah.
to this day. And so I'm like, there was a point where I'm like, I'm just not going to sit around here and collect dust.
Right.
So I'm looking around to figure out what can I integrate myself into. And I'm like, well, maybe the praise team. I don't know Gaither harmonies, but I can I like to sing. Like, there wasn't too many other options. It's like you can either join the praise team, or there wasn't anything else that was really happening in the church. So I was like, well, maybe I'll join the praise team. And so they let me sing on the praise team with them. They're like, oh, we're so happy young people are on the praise team. And so I sang with them for a while. And anyway, long story short, I was there maybe 8 months. And I think it was after a rehearsal at one point in time, the pastor was sitting in his office. And I mean, it's just random happenstance. He's like, well, what do you want to do? I'm just curious. What do you want to do with life, basically? And so I'm walking by, leaving, I believe. And I was like, well, I don't know, maybe pastor. That was it. And I walk out. And then maybe like a week or so, a few days later, he's like, well, I'm just curious, like, you said pastor, like, how serious are you really about that? Because there's this person I want you to meet. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm like, yeah, kind of serious, like, it's really just passing general conversation. And then anyway, this other gentleman, which is Dr. George Dillard, who is the senior pastor over Peachtree City Christian Church, this is the person he wanted me to meet. And so he comes in, and he's sitting there, and the other pastor, Pastor Hoyt Johnson, they're both there. And basically he's like, well, this is the person I want you to meet. And we just kind of have this random conversation about, like, what do I want to do? And I'm like, well, I mean, I kind of feel like pastoring. is what I'm called to do. I don't know who these people. I really don't know. Like at this point in time, I'm like, well, this is the pastor that I know, Pastor Hoyt. He's been preaching here. This other guy I've never met before in my life. And I'm like, I don't know who he is. Well, come to find out, he's going to be the person that eventually becomes the overseer of the church, and he's the one that takes over the church. Anyway, so just random conversation, like, yeah, kind of want to be a pastor. I mean, I feel like that's sort of what I feel like God has called me to do, but not die hard about it. So maybe another week or two goes by, and they come back and they're like, well, how serious are you about this pastoring thing? And I was like, well, I mean, pretty serious. And then the next thing was like, well, how soon can you start? And I was like,
Wow.
what?
Wow.
Like, what's going? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, well, like I was raised very corporate, so I'm kind of coming out of these very corporate worlds, and I'm like, well, so I tried to give them something crazy. So I was like, well, I'm going to need at least to transition my position well, because I'm an assistant manager at a restaurant right now, and in order to transition my position well, I'm going to need like somewhere maybe between
right.
yeah, I'm like 2 weeks, and I'm like 2 weeks is not enough. So for me, I'm like I need to give them at least 2 to 3 months is what I told them, because I figured well maybe
Right. I mean, that's reasonable, but